So let's take a look at the first pattern and see how Google creates this web page right here. Okay. So that web page right there is made with this HTML. So we have the body tag, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divs. So they're all going to have a background color. And as they change, right, we're going to have things kicked onto the next row. And then as we can continue to change, it looks like that. So we have 2 breakpoints. And we can see here that we have a media query at 600 plus, min width 600. So it looks like that's our first breakpoint right there. And then we have another one at 800 plus, min width 800 pixels. And so there's our next breakpoint right there. And the main takeaway, and we'll revisit this at the end after we've looked at the code, the main takeaway is that you want to use display flex and flex flow row wrap. And then what you want to be on each row is going to add up to 100%, right? And so we have basically flex direction is row, and it's going to wrap, right? And so all of these guys, if this is a flex container right here, that body tag, these are all flex items. And we say, hey, you guys are all going to be a row. If their width was 10 pixels, they'd be one after another on the same row, right? But when we make their width 100%, they take up that whole row. And since we've set flex wrap to wrap, right, we have row wrap, flex directions row, flex wrap is wrap. Or we could just say shorthand notation, flex flow row wrap. When we set it to wrap, it kicks the next one to the next line. And if this next one's 100%, kicks the next one to the next line. So when we get to our media query breakpoint, this is still 100%. This guy's 50, this is 50, that's 50, that's 50. And when we get to the next one, this is like maybe 70% and 30% and then 33, 33, 33, right? And so that's how you get things to arrange, and you could like change your layout really quickly, right? By just changing like what is the width of each item. If I want it to take up a whole row, that width is 100%. If I want to share a row, well, divide the 100% between what you want sharing the row. So that's the main takeaway right here, this stuff right there. So let's look at the code and let's see that in action. So here's the HTML. I am in 033 Flexbox Google 02 Design Patterns 01. I have those files open. There's my HTML. I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to close that. I don't need that much. There we go. Lots of room. I can almost get it all. I guess I can. So here's my main HTML body and div, right? Just box sizing border box. And I do body display flex, flex flow, row wrap. And so that makes this a flex container. And the direction is row, and wrap is wrap. Flex wrap is wrap. And then width is 100% for the body. So take up the whole page. And padding is 0, border, margin 0, auto. So that's centering it, right? If it wasn't taking up the whole page. So when we break, right, and we change how much of the page it's taking up, and we're going to adjust that property on our media query, then it's going to be centered. And then C1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those different classes right here, the width is 100% and the min height is 150 pixels. So if the width's 100% on each of those, they are all taking up a row. So that's how they take up a row. So then I have the style. I added the styles sheet here, and that's just putting a background color for each of those. And then we have the media query, and look at all that media query consists of. That's it. Just on C2, 3, 4, and 5, change the width to 50%. Pretty cool, right? Very elegant, very lean, very clean. And then we go to media query 800. So when we hit 800 right there, you can see that the width of body is going to change. And sure enough, the width of body becomes 800 pixels. And since margin 0 auto was set right here, right? That's going to be centered, right? So it's centered. And then C1 becomes 60%, C2 becomes 40%, and 3, 4, and 5 are each 33, 33, 33, right? 33 and 33.33%. So they take up a third. So that's it, right? Super easy, super clean, super lean. And we've divided our web page into containers, into sections, and we're able to arrange those. And with simple media queries, like super simple, look at how simple that is. We're really changing the way everything is laid out. So now if we're building a web page we could just drop content in here. And this can be that container into which, content is held. And, whatever that content is, however you style it, however you make your web page look, you have those containers to put things in different areas. So that's the first design pattern that Google's forwarded. There's several more we're going to look at. If you go to Flexbox design patterns, I put a link right there for you. You could click on them and you could see, my code, I've cleaned it up a little bit. If you go look at Google's code, it's a little bit not quite as clean as mine. I wanted to make mine super easy to understand so you could focus upon what's happening. But you could come in, you could take a look at their code, and they have sites that use this pattern, and you could go in and you could look at sites that use these patterns to design things into those sections in those areas. So you could check that out. All right, so that's design pattern number 1. And in the next video, we're going to take a look at the second design pattern, and you're going to see that all of these design patterns from Google using Flexbox and media queries are going to use the same deal right here, right? They're going to leverage this concept, FlexFlow row wrap, and making what you want on each row adds up to 100%. All right, let's go look at the next one.